It's been a couple of weeks.
All right, yes.
What's been happening?
Good to be back.
Where have we been?
We went back to Sydney. How was that?
It was good. I finally got to see my horse again. For those of you who followed us on Instagram, you would know that. My horse stayed in Sydney because he's too old to move over, and it was so good to see him. But
I thought you were going to see that you were excited because you saw your family.
I did see my family also, but it's different because you can speak to your family over the phone. I can't speak to my horse over the phone. I think that's the difference. But anyway, we went back to Sydney.
Priorities.
For those of you, I guess, who don't know, we moved from Sydney to Perth about 8 months ago.
Yes.
Why did we do that? That's a big move.
Yes. Well, we're going to talk about that a little bit later, but it was interesting because we have the epiphany while we were there. Actually, even before that, we were planning on recording podcast while we were on holidays. In our trips. And then we decided not to, and we also want to dive into the why we didn't do it.
Yeah, I think that's important, and that's what this episode is about. It's about creating a business that fulfills you, and that's something that is, easily forgotten for a lot of business owners. And that was, we nearly fell into that trap when we went back to Sydney. We were like, we've got to film a podcast. I was going to hire a podcast studio and do all the things. And then it hit me like, why are you doing this? You haven't seen your family or your horse or your friends in 8 months. Like, stop it. So we thought, why not talk about it? Because so many people forget that they actually have the choice to create a business that they want and that works around their life and not the other way around. So
yes.
Let's get started, shall we?
So yes, absolutely. So I think the first thing that comes to my mind is to discover the why, right? And have clarity on the why you started your business. So tell us, why did you start your business?
Well, this is the thing, right? There are so many whys. It could be financial freedom, it could be for the creativity and the passion, it could be for the lifestyle, it could be, to work around your children's lifestyle. There are so many whys, and there's no right or wrong answer. Personally, for me, it was that I hated being told what to do at work. I hated running on somebody else's schedule, and I wanted that lifestyle freedom. That was my driving factor. And, that's something that maybe I didn't pick the best industry, or what I thought. I didn't pick the best industry being in the wedding industry. A lot of wedding creatives deeply believe that they can't have a fulfilled lifestyle, which we're going to talk on later in this episode and talk about how you actually can. But, for me, it was just, I am very routine and schedule as it is. But when somebody else tells me to be on their routine and their schedule, I hate it. So that was my why.
Interesting. So what is it that you really wanted to achieve?
I just wanted the flexibility that if I woke up in the morning and I felt like going to the gym in the morning, I would go to the gym in the morning. If I woke up and I said, I want to go to the gym later in the afternoon, I can do that. If I felt like being creative that day, I could do something creative within the business. If I felt like I was happy to just sit and do admin, I could do that. I wanted to be able to be flexible with what I did. It wasn't about working less. It didn't really bother me working a lot. I don't mind working, but I love doing work that feels good and feels, a lot of creatives will resonate with this, that when you are feeling creative, it's great to be in that zone. But if you are not feeling creative, it is so hard to force that. So I wanted that flexibility.
And I guess one of our breaking points as a couple as well, because we're very needy and we saw ourselves growing apart. I was working 6-7 days a week. You were working most of the days that I was available, and it was really tricky to find the time for us to grow together.
Yeah, absolutely. Geraldo used to only have Saturdays off, and as you know, Saturdays are the busiest day in the wedding industry. And in the thick of the moment when I was working in the wedding industry, I thought there's no possible way that I can take Saturdays off. It is the busiest day. And now that I'm out of the industry, I see so many ways that it's possible. It was like I was so blinded when I was in the industry, which is why I think it's really important to talk about this with you today, because as an outside perspective now, we're not a full outside perspective, we're industry adjacent, and we see how so many businesses operate, and there are just so many options, and we wanted to be able to share that. And yeah, the reality is I wasn't fulfilled in my business before. I definitely am now, and it's just such a different feeling, like being in a place. I mean, I wasn't in the right industry, I've got to be completely honest, and this isn't the case for most of you. I wasn't completely passionate about makeup. I did love weddings, don't get me wrong, I loved being part of that environment, but I hated the early wake-ups, I hated the driving, I hated cleaning my brushes. The real thing that lit me up within my business was doing my admin, and no one will probably resonate with that, but that's why I changed the business into what we do now, because this fulfills me, this lights me up.
Interesting. So what I hear is you got clear with your why, and you took decisions towards that.
Yeah.
And this is what we need to try to talk about today. The second point that comes to my mind will be like kill the myth of doing what everyone else is doing, but focus on what you really want out of business.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that told me when last year we said, hey, we're clear with what we want. We can't keep working separated. We need to join our time. Our bank accounts were growing, but as a couple, we weren't growing. So what is more valuable to us? That is something that you need to discover yourself, that we did our homework, and that is the most important thing. And then we took decisions towards that to fulfill us. And then we moved.
Yeah, and that's the thing, like there's no right or wrong answer. At one point, Geraldo was very money driven, and he thought money would make him happy. And that was okay for that time.
Most of us, right?
Yeah, a lot of people think that. And if money does make you happy, like go for it. I do believe money makes life easier, I'm not going to lie.
Yes. Gives you options, you know?
Yeah, 100%. But the reality is you don't need to feel bad about what your why is. If you don't, for me, money's great. Yes, as we said, money makes things easier. However, lifestyle will trump money for me any day. And that was a lesson that Geraldo had to learn on his own. But yeah, so let's bust some myths for people in the wedding industry who believe, like I did, that working in the wedding industry, you just cannot have that flexibility because, you're booking weddings years in advance sometimes, and you put everything on hold, you don't take holidays, you run on your bride's schedule, and you're a slave to your business. So what are some myths?
Some myths. I think the first one that comes to my mind is that you have to work every single weekend.
Yeah.
That you are a slave, that you have to follow what your client wants, and you fall into that routine of, okay, I'm available Fridays, I'm available Saturdays, I'm available Sundays, and then
that's your family time.
So what? Yeah, exactly. So what can you say?
My answer to that, the way around that, and again, I used to say I can't not work Saturdays, but now that I've seen it within other businesses and I can see it from an outside perspective, you absolutely do not have to work all weekend. If you want to work one day of the weekend, great. If you want to work no days of the weekend, that is fine. Now, how you can practically put this into play within your business is, let's say you want to work during the week instead. There are so many missed opportunities when it comes to elopements because not many people cater for elopements, and there are a lot of them going on in the week. What if you niche yourself down to be an elopement specialist? Because again, when people are looking to book somebody for their wedding, a supplier, a vendor, and they're having an elopement, and then they see you pop up and it says elopement specialist, even though the service is the same, whether they book an elopement specialist or they book somebody else, they are going to think that you are better in that sense, and you're going to be able to cater for them in a way that meets their needs more.
But also, they might think that you're better, but if you specialize on that area, it's obvious that by try and error, you will become better.
Yeah,
so it's just a matter of time for you to actually skilled that specific area and become the best at your niche.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's not a whole lot of changes within an elopement, right? So it's not a huge level of skill, but what if you use that to your advantage? What if because you have more time, you're doing less volume of people or less hours? What if you get really damn good at making that experience phenomenal? If you're a makeup artist, you spend 30 minutes giving them a face massage, learn some facial skills and give them like a full-blown massage. We used to do that with our clients, a hand and arm massage, make the experience phenomenal. And that way, like this works within any industry, but that way you can charge more for doing an elopement, and people are still going to be more likely to book you because you specialize in elopements. So, that is one way around working weekends that still gives you the financial flexibility, that gives you the freedom to have time with your family.
Right. That was a good one. So, another myth what is it? Another myth will be just just not being yourself, I guess, because you fall into what the other makeup artists are doing, the other hairdressers doing, the other wedding venue, the other celebrant is doing. But what is it that really separates you from all the business? And that is an introspective work that you need to do with yourself to find what you truly love and you truly want, because I bet there's nobody else like you.
Yeah.
So if you niche yourself into who you are, your personality, and what you want to provide, that will separate you from others as well. So what other myth will come to your mind?
I would say for people who, you know, if their driving factor is financial freedom and they think they're limited to the amount of weddings that they can take on, the obvious thing is raise your prices. Now, where people go wrong with this is they just raise their prices.
Right.
They don't raise their experience.
Without matching the experience. Yes, because from the sales point of view, the sales is made when the customer perceives that the value that they're getting is equal or more than what they're paying.
Exactly.
So that is a very interesting point. You need to match the experience. Tell us more.
Yeah, exactly. Provide more value. And we actually want to do an episode on this because we see so many people marketing themselves as a luxury, you know, wedding vendor. And I'm like, what is luxury about your service other than the fact you've put it in your Instagram bio and you've raised your prices? And we're going to do an episode because that is something that really irks me in this industry. There are so many ways to add value and to provide an exceptional experience. And it really just comes to thinking outside the box. Like, you know, as I said before, it could be giving a really beautiful 30, 40-minute face and arm massage, hand massage, all of the things that people don't think about because it's outside the standard service, what people say the standard service is. And it involves having an exceptional system in the back end. So not only the experience on the day is phenomenal, but the experience beforehand, because so many people forget about that, right? Your experience with your brides and your couples, it starts the moment they inquire, even before, from your Instagram, from your website, all of the places that they can see you and experience you. You need to make them feel valued and supported from the very beginning all the way through to the wedding day and beyond. And beyond,
yes. So that you were just touching into the other myth that I was thinking about is that once you get busy, because in some point you want to create this business that you have money, you have time and all of those things, but then when things get real, when things get busy, you spend a lot of time in admin as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you need to be able to find what are the things that actually energize you and the things that take energy out of you. So if admin is one of those things, I can highly recommend we breathe and love systems or hiring people. What is your take on this?
I think absolutely. Like, a lot of people in this industry are just true creative people, and that's where they thrive. They thrive on the wedding day when they're doing their skill and they're spending time in that. And we see this all the time, that people upskill in their actual skill so much, but they don't upskill in business, they don't upskill in their systems or in their team. And that is because that's really boring for most people, right? And the reality is, you are a CEO and you decide what you do. Like,
exactly.
That is something that you need to remember. If you don't like doing admin, don't do admin. Get a system that does it for you. If you don't want to clean your brushes at the end of the day, hire an assistant to do it. You know, there are so many ways around it. If you're a photographer and you just love actually shooting and you don't want to edit, hire somebody. And I know most people will be like, oh, but that's not the full service and I can't do that and this and that. You can do whatever you want. Like, this is what this is about. You can literally do what you want.
So, yes, have the clarity of what you want and make your business suit your lifestyle.
Absolutely.
And not all the way around.
Make your business suit your lifestyle. Make your business suit your financial goals, whether they're big, small, it really doesn't matter. It just needs to suit your goals. And make what you're doing suit what you love doing. I think that's really important, and everyone loses touch of that. And I'm glad we talked about this, because I personally forget about this all the time. Like, this is something you need to constantly be practicing and genuinely, you know, making time for, because it's so easy to forget. As we said, we were going to record podcasts and do all these kind of work activities in Sydney, and I was like, hang on a second, that doesn't fit the lifestyle that I want. No, thank you.
Exactly. And you need to be able to be bold. And once you have the clarity of the things that you want and don't want to do, you need to be able to stick with it. And it's okay every now and then to review that why, because needs evolve.
Absolutely.
You evolve, and you need to be able to make sure that your why is clear and is congruent to who you want to become, what your business wants to be, and you need to be able to take bold decisions towards that. So in some point we said last year you were working with your systems company, I was working at Lexus at the time, and we said, okay, what is it that if we do right now will impact our life the most? Was it the money? No, we were making a lot of money. Was it the time together? Oh yes, that was one of the most important things. But not just time, quality time.
Yeah, exactly.
What about in Sydney, we were paying a lot of money to be 1.5 hours away from the beach. Is the beach lifestyle that we wanted? Okay, yes, we did. And then what else? More time to spend with dogs, more time to spend with us in quality life. So what did we do? Okay, we had the opportunity to either buy a house, or move to Perth. And we said, okay, what is it that it really is going to impact our life? A mortgage for 30 years and we will have the same miserable life, or moving to a place where we could actually enjoy all the things.
Yeah.
And that's what we did.
And it changed our life dramatically. And here's the thing, I really do believe everything happens for a reason, because we were about to buy a house and we thought this was the plan. I finally got this is going off topic here, but I finally got a really good accountant. And
very important.
Yeah, we realized that is a really important thing, by the way, for a business owner, get a good accountant. But I realized that it's actually a stupid decision for us to buy a house. We should not be buying a house to live in, because we work digitally, we work within our home. And if we weren't renting, then we couldn't claim any of our business expenses through the house. Like, we can claim portions of rent, electricity, all of the things that we couldn't do if we owned a house. So everything works for a reason. And at the end of the day, again, lifestyle is our driving factor. You need to find yours. What I would recommend doing is, sitting and taking some time to work out what it is you want from life right now and what it is that would fulfill you if your business could provide that for you. And then write down all of the tasks that you have to do within your business. It could be, creating Instagram content, email marketing, doing your bridal admin, your wedding admin, doing the actual job on the day. Write everything out. And then take a highlighter, and I want you to highlight the things that you hate doing. And then from there, you're going to have a little list that you can go, okay, now how can I work on improving this so it can be less? And something to remember, and something that I think is really important, that you don't have to change everything overnight. Like, be kind and be patient with yourself, because even one little task that you can change, it will dramatically impact your life. Like, you don't have to be like us and completely turn your life upside down.
That is something that selling luxury cars, specifically Lexus, you learned within the Japanese culture the Kaizen philosophy, which means improving 1% of the time every single day. If you're 1% better right now, tomorrow another 1%. In a year, you have improved dramatically. And that is what it is. You don't need to do big changes all in once. You can just change a little bit at a time. And I remember when we were about to move, I had already here in Perth a job lined up, which would have been equal to being in Sydney, because I would have need to work a lot and being apart from you. So then that was the moment we said, okay, you needed to hire somebody, definitely. And I thought, well, here I am. And I jumped into the company, and that was the best thing we could have done.
And that's the thing, right? Again, thinking about your why. We love working together, which goes against it. For the majority of married people we know, we're like, how are you not dead yet? One of you should be in a body bag. And
we do roll eyes all the time, though. But
sometimes I think we've become. It is a skill that you have to learn to be able to communicate your needs. And I think I would have been the same no matter who I hired. When you go from working for yourself, with yourself, only yourself for so long, to bring somebody else in there, it is a learning process. But we love that, and we will do anything to maintain working together. Whereas some people would hate to work with their partner. So if that doesn't work for you, don't even bother. Just know what you want and strive towards that.
Now, you have the chance to reverse engineer things. And that's how you need to approach your life, your business, everything is like that. So, for instance, we want Wednesdays in the morning, we participate in the community called Cold Nips. We jump in the beach with people, we have coffees with friends, and it's great. So what do we do to achieve that? in our schedule, we block a big section in the mornings where, okay, we need to be back at the office at this time, but before that, from 4 a.m. in the morning, we're completely free until 10, I believe, and then 10 a.m. we need to be at the office. So we make sure that that block, that section that is important for us, that is fulfilling for us, we can have it designed in our schedule for us to not miss it. So you can fill your cup first before you can fill others.
And again, like, it's okay for things to change. You know, your life changes. If you know, start a family, obviously your needs within your business are going to change. When we moved to Perth, we had a pretty solid idea of the schedule we wanted to create and we wanted to work with. Not long ago, a couple of months ago, we actually changed that because we realized we love the mornings for us. Now, in my head, as a former corporate girl, I was like, 9 a.m. is so late to start work. I need to be here. I need to be, you know, in the office, on my desk, on my computer at 9 a.m. and starting work. And if, you know, I still struggle with this sometimes, particularly because we're in Perth, we're a couple of hours behind a lot of our clients who are over on the East Coast. And I think, oh, they're going to think she's so lazy. You know, here comes the internal self-talk. They're going to, where is she? People are going to, you know, people are going to be needing me. And I just realized that I love the mornings. We go to the gym in the morning. A lot of the times we'll go to the beach and have a little ocean swim, which has just been the most, I can't explain it.
Nourishing, fulfilling.
We were not beachy people. Do not get me wrong, not beachy people, but there's something about floating in the ocean that just makes all your problems disappear.
Which is a great thing for creatives, to be able to find something that will unlock your busy mind, because unfortunately creatives, I learned that from you. When you are stressed, when you have so many things lined up to do, you don't really have the space for your mind to expand and be creative. And that is something that you absolutely, is a must that you have to be able to fill your cup to nourish your business. Because if you are working 50%, guess what? Your business is going to also reflect that.
Yeah, that's actually really important. But, you know, that's the thing that you can implement. You might have noticed from listening to these already, if you have, I'm a little bit of an anxious person. Like, I overthink to the max.
Just a little bit.
I don't know if it's anxious, but I'm definitely an overthinker. And I panic about, as you've literally just witnessed, that I'm thinking people are thinking all these things about me. They're lazy, you know, where are they? Get to, you know, hurry up and do my work. But it's just about putting some steps in place to be able to communicate. That makes me feel better, is that we have an autoresponder for our clients, letting them know, like, we'll get back to you within this time frame. Sometimes you can put a fun little playful message being like, we're probably at the beach right now having our morning swim, whatever it is. I just think there are so many ways around implementing the boundaries that keep the lifestyle that you want. And I think that is just such an unspoken message, but it's so important.
The thing is, when you are clear with yourself, when you are honest with yourself, you create that congruency.
Yeah.
And that message comes across the way it is. And people respect that because they appreciate that you're being honest with yourself, honest with them as well. I know we are very responsive. If anything, we respond as fast as we can. And the problem we have is to be able to establish boundaries, because we are people who we might open the computer just to check the emails. It's nothing important. I'm not gonna work. Then 5 hours later, we've been working for hours, and we were like, "What do? It's Sunday night, Sunday 9 p.m. We're still working. Why? Because, well, number one, we love what we do, but number two, it's been hard to put boundaries when we know if people need our help. We want to just drop everything and help them, and that has been really hard to be able to put those boundaries. Hey, Monday to Friday, and these hours, and find something that works for you, and not all the way around. Because I see a lot of people just working themselves around, trying to go and overstretch themselves, and guess what? When you overstretch, at some point you snap, and that's how it is.
Exactly, and again, it's okay for things to change. Recently, you know, we've realized I work better working on the business. Geraldo works better working in the business. He does a huge portion of our client work. I still oversee everything and do all of the designs. But the majority of my position within the business is working on the business. It's the marketing. It's, you know, growing the business, thinking about how we can scale, all of those things where I get to still flourish in my creativity.
Yes.
And there's just no, you know, in my head I think, oh, people want to work with me specifically. And sometimes clients do request to work with me specifically. And I'm like, it's really hard for me to implement boundaries because I am a people pleaser to my core. However, if I don't do what I need to do in the business, we won't have a business. We won't actually be able to help anybody at all. So
we play really well our strengths and weaknesses, and what you do best is being creative and evolving things and looking things from a different perspective. And I'm really good at just being the muscle and keep grinding, keep growing, and keep building all the client work and most of the things. So it's been great that you can do that part that I'm really bad at, that is absolutely fundamental for the business. Because if you're not putting time for the marketing process, the sales process, guess what?
You don't have a business.
You don't have a business, because that is what drives the oxygen of the business.
Yeah.
So if you don't have oxygen in your business, you're going to die.
And
that's how it is.
Sometimes you do feel like by implementing your boundaries, you're letting people down. I do, and if we do have clients request, don't get me wrong, I'm still a pretty decent part of our client work. Like, I'll jump on meetings with client, I'll be definitely interacting through voice messages, but there are some meetings or things or places that I'm not a part of, and I feel guilty for that. However, again, you need to do what you need to do for you and for your lifestyle and for your, the oxygen of your business. So if you do have to implement boundaries, you don't have to feel bad for that, and that's okay. You just need to stay in your lane. The thing we see all the time is that the wedding industry, I mean, look, I see it a lot in the wedding industry. It could happen across numerous industries, but people just start doing what everyone else is doing, and it's just so normalized that the real message, as we've said over and over again, is just figure out what you want. It's okay to stray from the norm or what everyone else is doing. It's okay to be different, and you'll find so much more joy and fulfillment and happiness in that. And I can speak from firsthand experience from going from a business that I wasn't fulfilled and I wasn't loving it, to now where I am, and I'm doing the roles within the businesses I love. Like, I cannot tell you, it is just worth every single part of taking the time to make a business work for you.
That's it. I hope you really like this episode. I don't have anything else to add.
No.
I think we touched on all the points.
Absolutely.
If you want to review it, write it down, because we poured our heart in this. I think it's very important for you to, number one, find the clarity.
Yeah.
For number two, design a business that is aligned to your vision, to your morals, to your ethics, to your goals, to you. And that is the single most important thing that we can talk about today.
Absolutely. And if you enjoyed this, please let us know. Please subscribe, follow, whatever it is, or whatever platform you're on. If you need anything, feel free to reach out to us on Instagram at Studio85, the spelling, not the numbers, _. We're happy to answer any questions or be there and provide that extra support, because we know business can be lonely. So we're always here for you, and we'll chat to you next time.
See you next time.